Hi again. In this class, we are going to see how to do the basic type of animation, that is classical animation. First, we'll understand what exactly classical animation is. Classical animation is also known as frame by frame animation or cell animation. And if we have to define that in words, it's in classical animation, each frame is a keyframe. You must be knowing about keyframes, right? Keyframes are the major changing areas with maximum details, or what we say, the most important frame in animation. Okay, so in classical animation, every frame we are going to draw, or every frame is going to have the details. So that's what classical animation is. Now let's start with how we are going to do it in this Animate CC. What we have to do is we have to go and open Action Scripting 3.0. The requirement of the size for the stage we're going to change from here, and this is the color which I'm opting is white. If you want to change it, you can change it from here itself. Okay, so let's start with the basic thing, how we are going to animate our object. Okay, so yeah, what I'm doing is I want this ball, so let's give it color for a ball. Okay, and the stroke I need is black, so I'm changing it. Let's zoom it. From here I'm going to draw one line, and from here I'm going to draw one line. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll just pull it inside so I get the shape of a ball. Extra points on the edge, I can see the notches there. I can just remove it. Center point. Okay, so my ball is ready. I want to move this ball from this portion to this side. Okay, what we need to do is, as per the definition what I explained you in classical animation, each frame is a keyframe. I need to apply keyframe onto my timeline. Okay, on this track basically I have a ball, so I'm going to rename the layer into ball. Okay, so this is the keyframe which comes automatically when I'm creating any object. Okay, so you need to understand, whenever you are creating any object, the first frame is getting converted into keyframe. After that, you need to apply the keyframe. Next frame, I'm going to add keyframe. What you need to do is select the second frame, right click and insert keyframe. The shortcut for adding keyframe is F6. Now, animation, as per the definition, it's animating an inanimate object, but equally it is an illusion. Basically, it's an image, and what happens is it gives you an illusion that object is moving. Okay, so the first frame is this, second frame is this. In second frame, I need to change the position of my object, so I'm going to change the position. So a little distance I'll do. F6 is the shortcut for adding keyframe. So as soon as I press F6 on the keyboard, I get third keyframe. I'll just change the position. So similarly, I'll finish up with adding keyframes and changing the position. So the shortcut is quite handy. And this. So it reached to the last side. What you need to do is press enter and check how the animation is happening. Now, if you're saving your file, just save. On my desktop, I'm going to create a folder for YouTube. Open. I'll give it the name for the file. I'll write it try. The name of the file is try. Save. Okay. In this, if I'll see in the YouTube folder, what I have is the try file with .fla extension. Here, if I press Control Enter, this is called test movie. It opens your file into a separate window, and that is your .swf file, that is shockwave file. So when you close this, you don't need to save it. you will see that file automatically in your folder. With wherever you have saved your original file, you can see the SW file there. Okay, so we saw how to save the file, we saw how to animate the file. Okay, so this is how my animation will look. Each frame is a keyframe, and this is how my animation will change. Now change in position we have seen. If I want to change the color, that also can happen. So let's do it. So this is my object. The first keyframe is this color. Next F6, and I'll change the color. Keeping this selected, I need to change the color. So changing the color. Next F6, that's adding keyframe, and then I change the color. F6, change the color, and this is the animation what happens. Okay, now this animation is very fast. If I want to reduce the speed of animation, what I can do is I can click on the stage and I can change the FPS here, the rate of your movie. So instead of 12, if I'm converting or changing it to 12 FPS, the animation will be slower. I want it much slower, then I can change it to 8, and this is how it is going to change. Other way to do that is I'm converting back into 12. Other way to do that is by adding the blank frames in this. Now you might ask what exactly blank frames are. Blank frames are, see here carefully, if you press F5 you get a blank frame. Now blank frames are the frames which carry the property of your previous keyframe. So this is the keyframe which is having certain properties. Blank frame is going to carry the same property. So this is extension of that particular keyframe. Now I can add 2 blank frames here. So I have this keyframe and 2 frames which are carrying the property of first frame. And those next two frames are my blank frames. Similarly, on the second keyframe which I added now, which is shifted to number 4, I'm going to add 2 blank frames. Next, 2 blank frames and 2 blank frames. This is automatically going to reduce the speed of my animation because number of frames has been increased. Now, can you see this? Okay. So this is how I can change the color. Next, in classical animation, I can do transformation also. Transformation, I'll show you the scaling. What you need to do is object, first keyframe, take the free transform tool, and next keyframe, simply scale your object. If you're pressing shift, you get proportionate scaling, F6, proportionate scaling, F6, scale it. This is how I'm going to do it. So I'm reaching on frame number 7, I think so, or 8. Then this is 9th frame, and this is your 10th frame. So this is how my animation will look. So clear? I'm changing the position from one side of the stage to other. I'm changing the color and I'm changing the size. So this is how you are able to do different type of animation by the means of classical animation. Now, as I told you in the beginning, classical animation is a traditional form of animation in which each frame is defined as a keyframe. So we have defined all the frames as a keyframe. Okay. Now these animations are a bit heavy because all the keyframes are there. All the keyframes are going to carry the 100% details. Okay. And sometimes it is jerky also. So this is one way of animation, the basic form of animation. You might say whether because it's an old type of animation, it's outdated. No, it is used, and there is a combination of animation like the smart animation and the classical animation. First, about the smart animation, I'm going to teach you in the next class. So any question, any doubt you have, you can mail me or you can write on the comment. Thank you.